Môre sê, hoor jy, ek begin al opwarm vir die World Cup. My snacks is reg, my hamburgers is reg, en daar sien jy die Rugby World Cup logo. Man, dit gaan 'n bil van 'n World Cup hierdie wees. 6 spanne kan wen, enige van 6 spanne. It's gonna be very, very interesting. Ons nou wen of nie, maak nie saak nie. Sal lekker wees, maar dit gaan bitter interessant wees. Ek dink die interessantste een nog ooit. Want enigeen van 6 spanne het 'n baie goeie kans. Good luck.
Cheers, Bokke. Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm so excited to do this video today. I know there's a lot of rugby supporters on here. So some of you who maybe watched the Rugby World Cup, the Springboks has won. So I thought, what better way to celebrate is to do 2 traditional South African recipes today and just give you a bit more interesting facts about South Africa, which I think it is interesting and funny. So this shot I just drank is called a Springbokkie, and I had a bit of difficulty to pour this freaking thing because it's 2 layers. So you use some peppermint liqueur and then amarula, which is also a South African brand liqueur, proudly South African. It's made from the amarula fruit, which you can only get in South Africa. It is quite a lovely liqueur on its own actually, but with the peppermint liqueur it gives like 2 layers of the green, and I think the amarula represents the gold because the Springboks is the green and gold. Okay, so before trying this again, I just want to give this to my cameraman.
Dankie.
Dis 'n plesier. Okay, so let's try this again. Okay, I'm just waiting for my cameraman to drink his shot. So first of all, you need to pour in your peppermint liqueur halfway. But this is a very tall shot glass, as you can see, so I'm a bit scared to really pour this full. Okay, but I'm gonna do it. With the previous shots, I was a bit scared to do this, but now I'm just gonna go for gold. Ooh! Okay. I don't know if you get something like a cocktail connoisseur, but I'm definitely not a cocktail or a shot connoisseur. Okay, so when we go through these recipes, I'm going to share a bit more about South Africa and funny and interesting things you would see here and come across here. But today we are making 2 very, very traditional South African recipes. Named, the one is Bobotie, and then the other one is Pancakes. So I think the people in the US would watch this and think, oh, but we know what is Pancakes. In South Africa, the pancakes you refer to, or the thing you refer to as pancakes, we call flapjacks. So our pancakes is quite similar to the crêpes you get in France, but we serve it with cinnamon and sugar. So I'm not completely sure how they serve Crêpes in France. I was in France like a couple of years ago, but I can't remember that I ever tried a crêpe, which is actually sad. For today's bobotie, so bobotie is mincemeat bake, which you sweeten a bit with some dried fruit and raisins. And then, okay, let me just run you through the ingredients. We have some onion, chopped onion, dried apricots or peaches, some dried apples rings, which I all just cut up these, and then some raisins, your eggs, salt, curry, sugar, milk, and some bay leaves. And then also 2 teaspoons of white spirit vinegar, but I'm not going to show it on camera because it's a very ugly bottle. I think what we do first is you need to soften your dried fruits, because this is going into the mixture of the beef mince, and if your dried fruits are not softened, it's not going to give it a very good texture. Okay, so you have to put your oven to 180 degrees, and then you have to boil some hot water. Then you just pour it in a bowl, and then I'm going to soak the apricots and peaches, and then also the apples, and then the raisins. So you can just stir this and just put it aside and let it soak for a couple of minutes. So just to talk about a bit more about the rugby. I think there's a lot of people that thinks that rugby is just a sport and it's only a game, and what does it matter? But I think a lot of you would know that South Africa has a lot of obstacles and there's a lot of corruption and problems in South Africa. But if there's one thing that all the cultures can come and stand together, it is for the rugby. For South Africa to win something like a Rugby World Cup, it is a big deal. We have a lot of problems such as load shedding and unemployment, and to be honest, when you drive through the streets in Johannesburg, there's a lot of sadness. But a thing like rugby, as you saw at the beginning of the video, the joy that people had. So in South Africa we have 11 official languages, so that means we have a lot of different cultures, a lot of basically diversity. But when it comes to a thing like rugby, it is so wholesome to see how everybody can stand together and just be so joyful when we win. So I don't know if some of you have watched the Rugby World Cup, the final game, but it was nail-biting. So it was actually funny because 3 of the previous games, I think it is 3, but there was 3 games prior to this game that we also just won with 1 point. There was a video for the past 2 weeks that went viral. The video is called "The Most Feared Rugby Team in the World," the Springboks. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, you know, in South Africa we think the most feared rugby team in the world is the All Blacks. So that was quite interesting to me that something like that went viral. And there were so many Americans that did reaction videos about this. And when they started with this game, there was this whole sing and dance and the national anthems, and I thought to myself, okay, I didn't think I was stressed, but as the tension built, I just thought to myself, it's going to look so bad if we lost because this video went viral. And again, we only won with 1 point. So it was nail-biting for 75 minutes. Or basically 80 minutes. Yeah, now I'm lying. It was nail-biting for 80 minutes. So when that end whistle blew, I think we could not believe what had happened. I personally think the All Blacks played very well, and I think they were their own biggest enemy because they made a lot of mistakes, and our team as well, the Springboks, also made quite some mistakes. But at the end of the day, you know, a win is a win. So Let's mix this. Now we are going to saute the onions and the salt and the curry. Okay, so in a pot or pan, just heat it up and then you pour in some olive oil. Okay, so if you want to go and follow along with this recipe, you can just go to my website. You will see the Bobotie recipe is under dinner. It's under the dinner recipes to get the precise amounts of ingredients. But in a pan or in a pot, we're going to saute the onions with a bit of vinegar, some curry, sugar and salt. So now I am pouring in 6 tablespoons of curry. Then I'm adding some salt. And then 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. And then you pour in your soaked fruit with the water. Just make sure it's not too much water. It should be around 150 ml water. Okay, so I'm so sorry, but I forgot about the 2 slices of white bread. You need 2 slices for white bread. So we are going to make now the beef mince part of the recipe. So I'm taking 2 slices of white bread and I'm just tearing it apart. Okay, now you soak this in 200 ml milk. Then you need to get a big mixing bowl, pour in your beef mince and then we're going to mix it with the bread. Okay, so I'm taking this mince meat. As you can see, the bread has soaked up all the milk. So let's mix it with the beef mince. As we wait for the dried fruit and the onions to saute a bit more, I thought it would maybe be fun to tell you a bit more fun facts about South Africa. If you have lived in a place your whole life, things that may be weird and interesting for other people is completely normal for us. So I really had to go and think what would be interesting for a foreigner. So my cousin and her daughter lives in Philadelphia in America, and when she visited last year, there were so many things that she told me about that was like not common in America or even just overseas overall. I have to start with our car guards. The feeling of car guards goes 50-50. Some people love car guards, as myself, and then these people that is so irritated with them. So when you go to a shopping center or basically anywhere, you would find people that watches your car. So I think it is a known fact that we have quite some crime in South Africa, and what these car guards do is they do 2 things. They watch over your car so that nobody steals it, and the other thing is they help you to move out of your parking. So I'm sometimes not the best of driver, so I really appreciate it when they help me out and they stop the cars and say, wait, this guy is coming out, or wait, this guy wants your parking. And then you just tip them like a 5 or 10 rand. Usually I don't have cash with me anymore because we pay with cards, so I just buy them a cold drink. So yeah, that is an interesting fact. And then load shedding. Before I could make this recipe, I had to wait for the electricity to come on. So Eskom is our electricity grid. They are in charge of our electricity, and there was a lot of corruption at Eskom, so there was no maintenance made at our electricity grids, and that meant that we had to go into load shedding, which means for a certain period every day the electricity goes off. So we have an app on our phone which is called Eskom se Push, which is like playing with words, because push can be interpreted as a very bad curse word in Afrikaans. It's not exactly spelled the same, but it sounds the same. So yeah. So actually a funny thing, on this Eskom's Push app that tells you when the electricity goes off, 55 minutes before the electricity goes off, there comes a notification on your phone that says, listen, 55 minutes, then you have no more electricity for like 2.5 to 3 hours. I saw this meme or joke the other day about South African women or South Africans feeling like they are on MasterChef because you have like 55 minutes, then dinner must be done and ready. Okay, so yeah, we're working against time. So most of us luckily have generators, but it definitely has a negative effect on small businesses who can't really afford generators, and not necessarily just the generator but the petrol that goes into the generator. So yeah, we have a massive electricity problem, and I'm so glad I'm not driving in and out of Johannesburg anymore, because when the electricity off, the traffic lights, I'm going to tell you a fun fact just now, the traffic lights are out. Okay, so in South Africa, I'm talking about traffic lights because I know you know the word, but that's also a funny thing. In South Africa, we call a traffic light a robot. Don't ask me why. Yeah, a traffic light is a robot. Okay, I'm just putting that out there. Then, when you go into town or wherever, I can promise you, you can do all your shopping, all your furniture buying, all your clothing, not all of it, I'm joking. You can find people next to the road selling this stuff, okay? At the robot, you would find a guy with a Springbok flag and a Springbok shirt and a Springbok hat that you can buy. Just earlier today I was in town and there was this guy coming up to me and he was like selling windshield wipers, okay? Yeah, windshield wipers, chargers for your phones. Obviously there's people next to the road with gazebos that sells like fruit and veg, usually actually very nice fruit and veg. And you know, you are supporting a small business and someone who tries to sell things, you know. Not very far from here we have like a oom. I'm going to get to the oom and tannie part a bit later, but it's an uncle or it's a man that sells koeksisters, and I can't tell you how good his koeksisters are. So koeksisters is also a South African sweet or dish. I would put up a picture on the screen how it looks, and it is actually funny because his sign says koeksisters and toilet paper. Like, what a combination, okay? And next to this stand with the koeksisters and toilet paper, you just turn around, then you get a person that sells like grass and freaking plants and trees, and then you turn a bit more around and you get a guy who sells furniture, like outdoor furniture, couches, bar stools, anything. And then also other thing, especially here in our neighborhood, we have people selling flower bouquets next to the roads, and the smile on their face. One day I will put up a picture of, I will post on Instagram a picture of this man. They are so happy. It is so heartwarming to see these guys. All they are trying to do is make a living. and we have a guy just down our road, and he's always like smiling and waving and whistling and like showing you his flowers. And on one level it is so sad, but on another level, you know, he has far less than what I have, and he's far more happy than I am. So that is quite wholesome to see. And I please ask you, when you come to South Africa, please support the local guys, especially the guys next to the road. You know, that is their living, that money they make there, that is what they take home and provide for their families. I live in quite a small town in South Africa, so that means like everybody knows each other. I would like to think of our town as Stars Hollow in Gilmore Girls. It is not quite that dramatic, but everybody knows everybody. Even the car guards or the security guard at a local Pick n Pay knows me, and he will like wave for me from far, and he will like come to me and tell me, you know, your mom was just here, or look, there's your mom, she just parked there. And it is something wholesome because you can truly feel a community here. Even small things like when you come out of a grocery store, as I said, the car guards and the security guy, he knows me by name. So when he watches me go out with my trolley, he would like run up to me and like help me and guide me to my car and take out my groceries. And I don't think there's anywhere in the world that you would get that. Please comment below if you come from somewhere overseas, not South Africa, where you get something like car guards and people who like help you with your trolley, help you take out your groceries into your car. That would be really interesting to know if there's maybe anywhere else in the world where you have car guards. And then on a jokingly note, everything here is on a jokingly note. In Afrikaans we have a saying, ons straat mekaar se siel uit. And that means we can joke with each other easily. And you should really remember when you come to South Africa, when people make a joke with you or about you, don't take it personally, because we're trying to make conversation. Yeah, so South Africa has a very unique and very good sense of humor. I'm going to tell you a bit more about the trucks in South Africa. So a truck in South Africa is called a bakkie. What we call a lorry is a truck. Okay, I'll put up on the screen. I'll put up here a picture of a bakkie, which is what you call a truck. And on this side I will put a picture of a lorry, which you know as a truck. Okay, but anyhow, so on our roads, man, can I just tell you, we don't have the best traffic police. If they are there, they're going to nail you with a speed fine or any type of fine, but usually they are not always that visible. So people take chances on the roads. It's just, it is what it is. For example, like 6 years ago, I wrote off my car because I was driving at night and there was a guy that came with a car and his headlights was not on. It's like, that's the type of things people in South Africa get away with. But anyhow, that's not the point. In South Africa, you have to be very careful of two types of drivers. Number one, your taxis, okay? And then the other one, which the South African man is not gonna like, but the bakkies. The thing about the taxis is, 100% of the taxis, I can promise you this, I can freaking put 10,000 rands right here. I can promise you that a taxi will, out of nowhere, brake in front of you. He will pull off at the side of the road, anywhere, on a highway, on a main road, in a town. If he sees someone needs a lift, he's going to pull off. But that helps, okay? Let me just say that helps. So if a taxi is driving in front of you, you just know, switch lanes. Just spare yourself that anger because you know this taxi, they can do all types of funny things. But the other driver I hate on these roads is the guys with the buckies. But the problem with the guys in the buckies is that it's only 80% of the drivers in the buckies who drive badly. So the problem is you don't know. Maybe this guy with his Ford Ranger or Hilux, Toyota Hilux, maybe he's going to be a very peaceful driver, which is only 20% of the time, okay? Or he's like really in a hurry, we don't know where, but he's in a hurry, he needs to get there now. I don't know if it's for a brandy and coke or what, but this guy is moving, okay? And he's like spaghettiing through the traffic, he doesn't give a damn. And the problem is with the buckie is that it's very big cars, okay, you know, like a truck, a buckie, it's a very big car. So other smaller cars like mine, we're quite scared, okay? If this guy is looking like he's... I almost thought it's a generator, but it's actually just a...
Buckie.
No, it's not a buckie. Hell. We have a saying in South Africa, and it's the only way I can describe some men, I'm only saying some men, like 80% of men in buckies, we have the word windgat, okay? Windgat is basically the synonym for arrogant, overconfident, self-assured, schmuck. Yeah, let's stop there. So that's the problem with the buckies. So when I drive on the road, I don't care about the taxis, I know what they're gonna do, I just get out of their way. But the buckies, you know, that cause, like a taxi, sometimes the taxis can speed, okay, but usually they drive slow, they just drive badly. But a guy in a buckie, they're always in a hurry, they always want to get past you, you always drive too slow for them. But anyhow, there is some of the men in my family who drives buckies, and I'm very lucky to say that the men in my family don't drive that bad. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to pour in the mixture of the dried fruits and the onions. Now you mix this into your beef mince. Okay, so I've just sprayed and cooked this dish. Now the beef mince is going in here. Just press it to all the sides. Okay, now set this aside. Okay, so for the topping we are going to use eggs and milk, which you whisk. You pour it over and then you decorate it with some bay leaves. Okay, I think I'm going to use another egg because it's a very big dish. I'm just going to give this a quick whisk. And as I'm whisking, I'm pouring in some of the milk. So now you pour this over the top. And then we are going to take some bay leaves and just make this pretty. Just want to look for the bigger bay leaves. Like that, that one is pretty. Okay, I think we can make this work. Leaves are drifting apart, but it's fine. Okay, so now you can put this in the oven at 180 degrees for about an hour. Before we start with the pancakes, just a short story. So pancakes, in South Africa we eat pancakes or crêpes, as some of you know it, with cinnamon sugar. But there's actually quite a skill in making pancakes. Not really the mixing part, but the baking part in the pan. So in South Africa we have a thing we called a kerk bazaar, which is basically translated to a church bazaar. It's basically a fundraising for a church. So there's always these older ladies, usually the ones in the old age home, and they always nominate themselves to bake these pancakes, and they're really good. So just jokingly, I hope there's no bazaar tannies that is watching this today, because there is really a skill, and the pancake should be very thin and a certain color, so I'm going to try my best today. So I just have my phone here with my notes. It's opened up on my website. To be honest, I'm not the best pancake maker, so usually I ask my mom to make it, but let's try this. Let me first show you all my ingredients. Here we have some cake flour, some oil, milk, then we have some lemon juice. This is the star of the show. Don't forget your lemon juice. It makes your pancakes soft and fluffy. Then I have some baking powder, 3 eggs. I know on my recipe it says 2 eggs, but because my eggs are so small, the trick is you need to use 3. And then I have just a little bit of salt. So first of all, we're going to mix your eggs, your water, your oil, and your milk. So it is 3 eggs, 1 cup of milk, and then 1 cup of water, two tablespoons of oil, and then 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. Okay. Now we are going to beat this all together. So now we're going to sift in 2 cups of flour. I was like pondering with the idea of making milk tart or pancakes, but it was raining the whole week, so I thought pancakes is a better idea. Because in South Africa, in rainy weather, it's like tradition to make pancakes. So I was like in the mood for pancakes this whole week. And then 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And then a pinch of salt. And then we blend and mix everything together. see, this batter is very thin, and that is great. It should be thin. If your batter is not thin enough, you can pour in a bit more water or milk. And interesting enough, if you want to make flapjacks or like the US version of pancakes, I would also put this recipe up on my website. It will be on the flapjacks. You use more cake flour, so it makes the batter a bit thicker. But this is perfect. Your batter should be almost as thin as possible. Okay, so here I have my batter. I have like a soup ladle and then a plate. Oil for the baking. I use some cooking spray as well, and then our sugar and cinnamon. So I'm going to heat up this pan. It should be a quite hot pan. This is a wonderful pancake pan. It's actually a Tefal pan, and it works wonders for pancakes. In this plate, you're going to dust some sugar and some cinnamon. Unfortunately, with pancakes, it can stick so quickly to a pan. So you should try and do everything just so it doesn't stick. Don't be freaked out. Usually the first pancake is a flop, but it's fine. So
That's tradition.
yeah, it's tradition. Your first pancake should be a flop. So let's see. So this has a trick to it. I'm not very good at this, but let's try it. You start in the middle, you start pouring in the middle, and then you swivel your pan to all the sides so that your batter goes everywhere. You start in the middle. Okay. Now you see this pan was not hot enough. I told you, the first pancake is always a disaster, but it's fine. We will survive.
I will survive.
Okay, so let's try this again. Wonderful. As you can see, there's a lot of bubbles here, but we're still waiting for those bubbles. I think that is enough bubbles. Now we can flip it. Whoops. This usually happens, don't panic. Just flip it open. Wonderful. While you're waiting for the other side to cook, you need to sugar and cinnamon the previous one. So here we sugar this one. You slide it on top of the other one. There we go. So the reason we do this is the previous layer of sugar will caramelize because of the heat of the next pancake. Okay, so I think the bobotie and the pancakes came out wonderful. I can't wait to try it. So I think I'm going to start off with the bobotie. I think it looks beautiful. Traditionally, bobotie is usually just made with raisins, but I thought maybe the raisins and maybe a little bit of dried fruit is going to make a good combination. So let's see. It's the first time I've made it like this. Wow, I must say it makes a difference. Usually the raisins are so sweet, and I'm not saying like dried apricots and peaches and apples is not sweet, but it levels out all the sweetness, and I think it is a wonderful combination. I think this is the new traditional way to make this. I think it is a very lovely dish. It's a lovely dish to host people, it's a lovely dish just to have as dinner, and it was quite easy. So yes, I forgot to say you should serve this with rice. It is so common for us to eat this like this. Just remember you should serve it with rice. Now let's try the pancakes. I can't wait for this. It is quite gloomy outside and I think it's going to rain in like, I don't know, 2 hours. So this is like perfect rainy weather pancakes. So you should roll this up. If you are South African, you know this is a winner. Another interesting thing is what you can do is you can make a thing that is called a savory pancake. So that's when you skip the sugar and the cinnamon and you can fill it up with mincemeat or with avocado and bacon and feta with a white sauce. It is also lovely. Please let me know in the comments if I should do a savory pancake. I would like to thank everybody who has watched this video. I really appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to my channel. It helps my channel so much. I can't wait to grow this channel, and I will definitely see you next Sunday. Okay, bye.